Not everyone moving to the Alabama Gulf Coast wants to live right on the beach. Some people want more space. Some want a quieter day-to-day routine. Some want to be close enough to Gulf Shores, Orange Beach, and Foley, but they don't necessarily want to live in the middle of the traffic, the tourism, and the activity that comes with being closer to the coast. And that's where Robertsdale, Alabama comes in. Robertsdale is one of those places that a lot of people don't always search first when they start researching the Alabama Gulf Coast. Most people start with places like Gulf Shores, Orange Beach, or Foley, but once they begin comparing lifestyle, price points, commute routes, lot sizes, and what everyday life actually feels like, Robertsdale starts to become a serious option for some buyers. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through what it's really like living in Robertsdale, Alabama. The lifestyle, the location, the housing, the pace of life, and what you should know before deciding if this area might be the right fit for you. And make sure you stick around until the end, because I'll also talk about who Robertsdale is probably a good fit for and who may be better off looking closer to Foley, Gulf Shores, or Orange Beach instead. But first, if this is your first time on the channel, I'm really glad you're here. I'm Miranda Baldridge with Advantage Real Estate, your local go-to realtor and community connector right here in Baldwin County, Alabama. I help people relocate to Robertsdale, Foley, Gulf Shores, Orange Beach, and the surrounding areas. And one of the biggest things I help buyers understand is that the Alabama Gulf Coast is not just one lifestyle. Living in Orange Beach feels different from living in Gulf Shores. Living in Foley feels different from living in Robertsdale. And choosing the right area really depends on what you want your day-to-day life to look like. So if you're thinking about moving to Baldwin County or anywhere along the Alabama Gulf Coast, make sure you subscribe to the channel, because I share videos about what it's really like living here and what you should know before making the move. And if you ever have any questions about homes, neighborhoods, or relocating to the area, feel free to reach out anytime. All right, let's talk about what it's really like living in Robertsdale. One of the first things to understand about Robertsdale is that it feels very different from the beach towns. When you're in Gulf Shores or Orange Beach, a lot of the lifestyle is centered around the beaches, tourism, condos, restaurants, marinas, and waterfront activity. Robertsdale has a completely different feel. It feels more like a traditional small country town in central Baldwin County. It is more inland, more spread out, more residential. You're not waking up every day feeling like you're in a vacation destination. You're waking up in a place where people are going to work, running errands, taking care of daily life, and living a much more normal routine. And for a lot of people, that is exactly the appeal. They want access to the Alabama Gulf Coast, but they don't necessarily want their everyday life to revolve around the beach. They want to be close enough to enjoy the coast when they want to, but they also want a quieter home base. Robertsdale gives that option. It's not trying to be Gulf Shores. It's not trying to be Orange Beach. It has its own feel, and that feel is more practical, more local, and more relaxed. One of the biggest reasons that people consider Robertsdale is the location. Robertsdale is often called the hub city or the hub of Baldwin County. That nickname makes sense because of where it sits. It's the center of Baldwin County. It's positioned in a way that it gives you access to several different parts of the county without being directly in the beach traffic every day. From Robertsdale, you can get to Foley fairly easily for shopping, restaurants, and everyday services. You can head south toward Gulf Shores and Orange Beach when you want beach access. You can go west towards Mobile, and you can also head east toward Pensacola. So depending on your lifestyle, your work situation, or where you need to travel, Robertsdale can be a convenient base. This is one of the reasons that people like it. They may not want to live right on the coast, but they still want to be connected to the broader area. And Robertsdale gives you that central location without the same level of tourism and seasonal activity that you can feel closer to the beach. Now, that doesn't mean everything is 5 minutes away. You are still going to be driving, and this is still a car-dependent area. But the location can make a lot of sense for people who want access to multiple directions instead of being tied to one specific beach community. Daily life in Robertsdale tends to feel much more practical than vacation-like. This is not the place where you walk out your door and immediately see beachfront restaurants, condo towers, and tourists heading to the beach. Instead, it feels more like a place where people live their everyday lives. You have local businesses, schools, churches, parks, county services, and day-to-day conveniences. The pace is generally slower compared to the busier coastal areas. There is less of that constant tourist energy energy that you might feel in Gulf Shores or Orange Beach during the peak seasons. And for some people, that's a huge benefit. If you're moving from a larger city, Robertsdale may feel much quieter and more spread out. You may notice fewer big city amenities, fewer entertainment options, and less nightlife. But you may also appreciate the easier pace, the space, and the more grounded day-to-day environment. So it really depends on what you're looking for. If you want beach activity outside your door, Robertsdale is not going to give you that. But if you want a quieter place to live while still being within reach of the coast, it might be worth considering. Another thing people often notice about Robertsdale is the housing. Compared to places closer to the beach, Robertsdale can often offer more space and a different type of housing environment. You are more likely to find single-family homes, larger lots, properties with a little more room around them, and areas that feel more open. This can be appealing to buyers who do not necessarily want condo living, beach area density, or a smaller lot closer to the coast. Some buyers are looking for room for a workshop, a larger yard, outdoor space, or just more separation between homes. Robertsdale may give them more of that type of option compared to some of the other more coastal areas. Now, of course, every property is different. There are newer homes, older homes, more rural feeling properties, and more traditional residential neighborhoods. So it's not one single type of housing. But generally speaking, Robertsdale is often more appealing to buyers who want a bit more space or who are willing to be further from the beach in exchange for more flexibility. And that really is the trade-off. You may not be right by the water. You may not have the beach town atmosphere, but you may get a more practical home setup for your lifestyle. Now, this is important because a lot of people compare Robertsdale and Foley. And while they are both inland compared to Gulf Shores and Orange Beach, they do not feel exactly the same. Foley has more shopping, more restaurants, more new development, and more of a busy retail environment. When people think about everyday convenience in South Baldwin County, Foley usually comes up quickly because of places like Tanger, all the grocery stores, the restaurants, and major roads leading towards the beach. Robertsdale feels more small town, more spread out, more country. It does not have the same level of shopping and commercial activity that Foley has. So if you want to be closer to stores, restaurants, and daily conveniences, Foley may feel more convenient. But if you want something quieter and less busy, Robertsdale may be more your style. That is why it is not just about which one is better. It is about which one fits how you want to live. Some people prefer Foley because they want more amenities close by. Other people prefer Robertsdale because they want a little more space and a calmer environment. One of the biggest trade-offs with Robertsdale is that you're further from the beach. That may sound obvious, but it is something you really need to think through. A lot of people say they want to live near the beach, but near the beach means different things to different people. For some, being near the beach means you want to walk to it. For others, it means they want to be within 10 or 15 minutes. And for another group of people, being 30 to 45 minutes away is still perfectly fine because they may only want to go occasionally. Robertsdale is not a beach town. So if your dream is to wake up and be minutes from the sand, this may not be the best fit. But if you like the idea of living in a quieter inland area and driving down to the beach when you want to, Robertsdale can still make sense. This is the key question. Do you want the beach to be part of your everyday routine, or do you want it to be something you can access when you feel like going? Those are two very different lifestyles. And Robertsdale is usually better suited for the person who wants access, but not necessarily immediate beach living. Another big reason people consider Robertsdale is because it is not a tourist-driven coastal community, as some of the others. In Gulf Shores and Orange Beach, tourism is part of the lifestyle. This can be exciting. There are restaurants, activities, events, beaches, and a lot of energy during peak seasons. But it also means more traffic, more visitors, and a different rhythm throughout the year. Robertsdale's different. It is not where most visitors are staying when they come to the beach. So the day-to-day lifestyle tends to feel more consistent. It does not shift as dramatically between vacation season and off season. And for people who want a steadier routine, that can be a big plus. You can still drive down and enjoy the beach when you want, but when you come home, you're coming back to a quieter, more inland community. For some, that separation is exactly what they want. They like having the beach nearby, but they don't want to live in the middle of the activity. Another thing that gives Robertsdale its own identity is the local community feel. This is not just a place that people pass through. It has its own local events, its own history, and its own role in Baldwin County. One example is the Baldwin County Fair. It is held in Robertsdale. It's one of the local events that people associate with the area, as they should, because it's going to be 75 years that they have put on the fair this September. Things like that help give Robertsdale a more traditional small town feel. It is less about beach tourism and more about community, local routines, and central Baldwin County life. For some people, that's a big part of the appeal. They want to feel connected to a local area rather than feeling like they live in a vacation destination. Again, it really depends on personality and lifestyle. Some people want energy and activity. Some want quiet and familiarity. Robertsdale tends to appeal more to that second group. Now, of course, Robertsdale is not going to be the perfect fit for everyone. If you want to be right by the beach, Robertsdale may feel too far inland. If you want lots of restaurants, nightlife, shopping, and entertainment right around you, you may feel like Foley, Gulf Shores, or Orange Beach offers more of that. If you want a strong waterfront or boating lifestyle, Orange Beach may be a better fit. And if you want more beach town energy, Gulf Shores may make more sense. Robertsdale is quieter, it's more spread out, and it may feel too slow for somebody who wants constant activity. So the important thing is to be honest about what you actually want. Robertsdale can be a great fit for the right person, but it is not going to be a beach town, and that is exactly why some people like it. Robertsdale may be a good fit if you want a quieter lifestyle, more space, and a central location in Baldwin County. It may be a good fit if you want to be within driving distance of Foley, Gulf Shores, Orange Beach, Mobile, or Pensacola without living directly in the busier coastal areas. It may be a good fit if you care more about practical day-to-day living than being surrounded by beach activity. And it may be a good fit if you want a more small town environment while still having access to the broader Alabama Gulf Coast region. But if your priority is walking to the beach, being close to waterfront restaurants, having a marina lifestyle, or being right in the middle of coastal activity, then you may want to compare Robertsdale with Gulf Shores, Orange Beach, or even Foley before deciding. That is why I always tell people the right area depends on your lifestyle, not just your budget, not just the home, but what you want your daily life to actually feel like. So overall, living in Robertsdale, Alabama is very different from living directly on the coast. It is quieter, more inland, and more residential, and it's more central within Baldwin County. For the right person, that can be a really good thing. But like anywhere, it depends on what you're looking for. If you want small town living with access to the Gulf Coast, Robertsdale may be worth considering. If you want beach activity right outside your door, then another area may be a better fit. And if you're thinking about moving to Robertsdale, Foley, Gulf Shores, Orange Beach, or anywhere in Baldwin County, please feel free to reach out. I help people relocate to this area all the time, and I'd love to help you compare the different communities and figure out which one fits your lifestyle and budget best. You can call, text, or email me anytime. All of my contact information is in the description below. And if you found this video helpful, and I hope you did, make sure you subscribe to the channel because I share a lot of videos about what it's really like living here along the Alabama Gulf Coast. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.